Welcome to another episode of Dr. Brooke on the Block. It's time to grab a seat, buckle up, and take a ride with me through the wild, wild west of the Web3 universe, where we're going to learn all about coins and tokens, NFTs and contracts, digital real estate and the metaverse, and so much more. There is a lot to get through on the block, but I am here to pave the way and help you avoid those nasty pitfalls and rug pulls so you don't get hurt. I'm going to also introduce you to some interesting characters along the way. Are you ready? Your ride starts now. Hey, Dr. Brooke here, the cryptopractor, and I am joined today for today's podcast episode with Remi. I know him as Remi, but he's got Remington on there, and he's a dear friend of mine. Welcome to the podcast, Remi.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. Always great to connect with you and excited for this mindful conversation.
Yeah, definitely. We connected not too long ago here at an event here in San Diego. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, but it's almost like we've known each other for an entire lifetime, which is bizarre how the connection was so intense, so beautiful, so awe-inspiring. And Remi is young. He's young, but his mind, he is so wise in his mind. And I learned so much from talking to him and connecting, and we just totally are jiving one-on-one, or jiving with the headspace in terms of how important mind space is to not only just personal development, but how you look at things from a financial standpoint. And so we're going to take a lot of the Web3 stuff, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, but we're going to talk a lot about mindfulness and how that is important and how that kind of plays into this. But before we get into all of that, I would love Remi to really give us a little bit of background on who he is, so you guys get to know the fabulous person I get to call my friend.
Really appreciate the introduction and just all the love. But like I said, super happy to be here. So born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. Actually just moved out here to San Diego about a year and 2 months ago. And honestly, just someone who's always been passionate about networking, personal development, and spreading love and just good energy to the people around me. And that kind of started when I started my clothing brand, Vurtual. It's a futuristic brand that focused on inspiring, current and future generations to maximize their potential. And that kind of guided me into the Web3 space now, where I, a full-time Web3 recruiter, trying to help bridge the gap between Web2 and Web3 and just give people opportunity to come and build the future. So always trying to be ahead and advanced and just, give people the tools, the resources, and the people to just grow and be the best version of themselves.
So beautiful.
Me in a nutshell.
So beautiful. I love it. It's all one of the things I just have to say this right here on the show, and you'll totally know about. One of the conversations him and I had over coffee one day was about what is this whole meaning of life, right? We sit here and we're going through all these day to day, we're facing obstacles, we're facing challenges, we're experiencing high, exciting, exhilarating moments of this life. But what is it all about, right? People, tend to fall into the whole, okay, graduate high school, go to college, get a good job, get married, have some kids, get divorced, try to figure it all out again, get back on dating sites, so forth. It's this cycle, right? And we're kind of living our lives looking so much okay, well, my wedding day is this, and I'm expecting it to be so grand and so beautiful, and maybe the expectations aren't met, and then that depression kicks in. And so when we talk about the whole meaning of life, I think you and I both, in different ways came back to the same definition of really, truly the definition or the meaning of this whole entire experience that we get to move through on a moment by moment, minute by minute basis is truly to reach our highest potential. And our highest potential for every single person is going to look different than it does for me, than it does for Remi, what that highest potential is for you. But it really, truly is what this whole entire experience is.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. It's a crazy journey that we're set on here in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And, as I've kind of continued to mature and go through challenging moments, you
Yeah.
kind of reflect on those and realize that they're gifts to help you keep growing, keep being a better version of yourself. But it's that awareness that's what that situation is, whether it's breaking up from going through a relationship that didn't work out, losing a job, losing someone close to you, each of those experiences are actually there to actually be a catapult to launch you to more greatness. And,
Yes.
one step closer to, just, being the best form of you. So
Yes. It's like everything you're saying, my whole heart is like, yes. And that's exactly what it is. So about becoming that greatest version of yourself. I want to ask you, you had mentioned something in the beginning when you were giving a little background on yourself with Columbus and your clothing line Vurtual, which if you guys got to check out some of these pieces. I don't know how much you're doing on social media these days. We've had a conversation about that, but on your Instagram, you do have the Vurtual, at least some photos from the Vurtual clothing brand, and that's spelled Vurtual. So the one change in letter there is the U instead of the I. And it's really actually cool looking stuff. I want to know what led to that. Like, what were the beginning, or what were those steps that got you into doing that to begin with?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think I've ever gotten to like fully share
You
that
you've
experience.
never told me this story, so this is cool because I get to learn the answer in real life too.
Yeah, no, 100%. So essentially, I out of high school went straight into college. I went to the University of Cincinnati, and just wasn't on the right path, wasn't around the right people, and that experience in that first semester, I had to come back home and really recollect myself. Was in a very dark period, didn't know what I wanted to do next, and I was doing a ton of research. I was, following along with some of my friends on social media. They were doing hedge funding. Some of my friends started a clothing brand as well. And I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to be an entrepreneur. I was following along Gary Vee, just surrounding myself with people that inspired me. So I actually contacted like two of my closest friends in high school. I was like, hey, let's start early. Like, let's start building a great life for ourselves now. And that's when I started ideating Vurtual and just writing down futuristic names, because I've always been so passionate about Star Wars and movies like Interstellar, Ready Player One, Tron. So I was like, this is cool. No one's doing this yet. So from there, it just took a ton of research and just back end time to learn what does it take to start a clothing brand, what does it take to market and build a community and just make your brand differentiated versus others, and just became very infatuated with meeting new people and creativity and just telling stories. So that was kind of that spark, that dark time that I needed. Like, whoa, like, you could either keep going down this dark path, or you could take control of your life and say, hey, like, let's start building towards something bigger now.
Was there a catalyst that presented itself to show you were in a dark period, or you were going through a dark patch of life?
Yeah, I mean, just being back home away from all the friends that I made was like super dark time. I felt just very unworthy, going to school, going to college, like you kind of mentioned in the beginning, like getting a 4-year degree, like that's what your parents like kind of expect from you growing up. And my sister went to Princeton, my brother was also at University of Cincinnati. So, there was this like, kind of pressure and just like from my family, that was the norm. And for me to not do that, I felt kind of like an outcast. But that was just like a very depressing time for me. And all my friends, were off building in school, and I was just back at home. So that period of time, just kind of sitting in that sadness and that just like confusion, really led to me like having that spark of creativity and hunger.
You have no, well, I'm sure you do now, but you have no idea how powerful at that moment in time in your world, in your life, that moment was. Because some people stay in those dark places. Some people stay in that dark hole and they continue to keep spiraling down to the point that they almost, if they haven't already, hit rock bottom. So the
Mm-hmm.
idea that you were able to kind of almost see it happening as it was happening and go, whoa, 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 I don't want to go down this path. And you took one step forward by reaching out to those friends of yours and saying, hey, let's do something together. Let's build a better life for ourselves. Like, I just have to say, I commend you on that, because a lot of people won't even take that action. And you're not even 25 years old yet, Remi. Like, what the heck?
God is good.
I'm like, your mind is so wise beyond its years. And I'm like, I'm excited to know you, because I'm excited to see the version of Remi that happens when he's 40. Like, I know that guy,
Yeah.
you know, to see what comes out of that. Cause it's so powerful. And, you know, I like, you and I talked a lot about just what personal development and keeping mind space really or keeping your mind space in a good spot. And now we're transitioning, we're ushering in a world where Web 2 really kind of, while it maybe started with very good merit in, oh, we're just going to connect the world together, it has now become people posting their best moments, people posting the lives that they wish they lived, people pretending, people not really, or they're hiding behind their true, like behind the camera or behind the phone. They're hiding their feelings. They're hiding the moments that they feel like what you were sharing, unworthy. They're doing all of that. And then they're looking at other people's lives and going, well, look at Remi. He's in Cabo. He's here. He's there. And feeling jealous and feeling sad. And there's a lot more attention now on the mental illness, or like just even understanding like the mental headspace game and how it can be very damaging.
Mm-hmm.
Stay there. And so now we're getting to kind of move into Web 3, where, you know, and I don't know that I'm actually have my thoughts clear on how the connection between Web 2 and Web 3, like how Web 3 is going to help with people's mental space, other than we're in a period of time right now where we can create what we want to create, and we can decide what it becomes versus allowing it just to become something like social media has just become something, to where it's like grabbing all of our data and doing what it does, and we have no ownership, and they're making billions and billions of dollars on things. And I don't know, what are any thoughts on that, on how Web3 is shape shifting the world in which we knew to a better tomorrow?
Yeah, no, I think that's super interesting thought too. I haven't really dove into it, but like kind of reflecting on it, like Web3 is like this new chance, this new opportunity for people to redefine who they are. And although a lot of this space is centered around digital and metaverse and NFTs, the in-person interactions are such, the connections you make with people are so much deeper. The communities that are being built are so much stronger. And people are thinking in way like more creative ways than they ever have. I think Web3 is just like, it's the next step in someone's evolution or awakening. It's an opportunity to reflect on Web2 and be like, hey, like I don't like that other companies are monetizing my data and selling it to God knows who, God knows, you know, and you know, even with like Instagram and Twitter, you know, that's very much so my something that my generation grew up on. And you know, people try to, like you said, only highlight the best moments. And I guess for me, something that I've tried to break down with that barrier is, you know, kind of sharing those moments in my life where I'm going through challenge, but also explaining why, you know, I view that as an opportunity. An opportunity to just grow. Yeah, but I think that's an interesting idea and something to keep diving into. It's like, how is Web3 going to change someone's mental, perspective and well-being.
Right.
What
Right.
ultimately, down the road, will it have a positive impact? That's something, we should definitely uncover more.
Well, I think you made a good point there. And as you were saying it, I was like, wow, that's so interesting, because right now, in the current state of which we're in, which for those of you listening, and we're still very early on. And so if you, again, I say this multiple times throughout the show, but if you feel like you're behind, or that you've missed the boat, I will tell you right now, and Remi can attest to this, you are not behind and you have not missed the boat. You are in at a perfect time, at least in a time where you can start to learn about it and learn more about what this entire space is, what the entire technology is, because it's not just about crypto, it's not about NFTs or smart contracts, but what is blockchain looking to do? And what kind of shifts in paradigm is it looking to disrupt? And one of the biggest things you said there is community. And you and I met as a result of community. Like, we didn't meet on Instagram, or I didn't find your profile. We met through community functions, community things. And that's not just unique to San Diego. That is unique to Web3 space, because there are these pop-ups, these meetups, these conferences, these places where people are going to find their tribe, to build together, to grow together, to talk about getting, like, one of my things with my patients is like, I want to help you get well, but then also with utilizing what educational aspects I have to teach people blockchain is like, I want you to get financially well as well.
Yeah.
Not to do well so many times, but the idea of we need to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually well, and we can be physically well with all of these components together, and understanding that.
Yeah. No, I mean, community is my biggest draw towards Web3. Throughout my life, especially after starting my brand, I'm just so drawn to meeting new people, learning their story, and learning how I can support them on their journey. And that's most of the people that I meet at the community events in San Diego or conferences, and they have that exact same mindset. And just to be around so many like-minded people, where we're building towards something so massive to the point where none of us even know.
Right.
We just support each other to get there.
Right.
This space isn't about competition.
Right.
This space is about being inclusive and supportive. So,
and I think that that's something that's been lacking in the internet Web 1. I think it's something that's been lacking in Web 2. I think it might, like we talked about, I think it started out with very, some people may say it started out malicious to begin with, and they were just trying to collect all this stuff. And that could be true. But I think a lot of people, like you do hear great stories like, we met on Facebook and now we're happily married for the last 15 years. Or, like I reconnected with an old friend from grade school that I hadn't seen in X, Y, and Z, and allowing that type of connection. But we don't get to experience that anymore in the way in which it's being done currently. And so with what you're doing work-wise, Remi, which I think is so fascinating, is being able to bridge that gap between Web 2 and Web 3 and help people kind of transition into a Web 3 workforce more so than their traditional, Web 2 type jobs. Can you talk about that more? Like what you get to do on a daily? I love it.
Yeah, no, super, super passionate about what I'm doing.
I know.
Started working with a recruiting agency called Hamlin Williams in January. They basically gave me the opportunity to join several different teams, and I kind of let them know, like, hey, I know I've been learning about crypto, I've been learning about blockchain. My closest friend is one of the lead blockchain developers in the space for music NFTs. So I had some background in the space already, and essentially for me, like, I get to help these new early stage startups, whether it's, seed round all the way up to Series B, bring on top talent, the top innovators in the space to go and help them build. And it doesn't matter if it's just NFTs, it's the entire space, blockchain gaming, DeFi protocols, blockchain infrastructure, marketplaces, metaverse, fashion. It doesn't matter what we're working on, but every single day I talk to 4, 5+ people a day that are either currently building in the space, have been in the space since 2015, 2016, 2012, like crazy amounts of time. Or, I consult people that are looking to make a transition into the space, and I tell them the things they can do to make the transition, because for most people, they don't know how. And there's no resources out there because we're still in such an infant time. So for me, it's just adding as much value as I can. Ultimately, like our job is to help people get new opportunities. But for me, it's to just add value in any way that I possibly can. If that's making another connection, connecting other founders to other VCs, connecting other people to podcasts, speaking at conferences. Right now, it's just about getting other people seen, getting other people opportunity, giving them a roadmap as to how they can come build with us. So yeah, I mean, it's a great job. I can't complain.
Oh my gosh. I could tell you're so passionate about it. And I love it because you and I have had a lot of conversation around what you get to do. And it's not even like the beauty of you, Remi. I just have to give you a big shout out right now is you are fabulous at connecting. And you are such an extrovert, but you're not an extrovert that literally pulls people's energy out of them and just uses it to be like the life of the party and the, whoo, look at me, I'm here, because there are a lot of extroverts like that you literally feel sucked to dry. You're like, okay, I need to go home and crawl into a hole for 2 days to try to as an introvert, right? I'm an introvert. Like, okay, I'm in my hole for 2 days to recharge my batteries because, that guy sucked the life out of me. You literally, I feel like I don't even know if transformer is like a good word, but you're like an extrovert that is so, you pull energy, but you give it all back. Like you give like an intense amount of it back. And it's such a cohesive, I'm losing my words. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so beautiful in that sense because you do not just from a job sense, but from a personal sense as well. Is you are like such a connector, just boom, 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 and bringing people together. And hey, oh my God, that friend would love you, and this person's doing this, and and you're just really connecting the world in the way in which it should be done, right? Again, going back to Web 2, social networks, what were they doing? A lot of networking, trying to bring the world together, but in a way that really just created a bunch of people who have mental illness or feeling jealous or all of this. You're getting to do it with so much love, light, and awesome experiences. And I think that is amazing. So I've got to give you a huge shout out.
No, I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely.
It's just my favorite thing to do. The people you surround yourself with is everything. And I learned that very quickly, obviously during that experience in college. And I'm always trying to attract and make space for better people to come into my life that are going to push me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And, kind of talking a little bit more on my story, I moved to San Diego and didn't know a single person. I moved out here with my ex, and once that relationship went away, I was all on my own. So ever since I've been here, I'm rebuilding I'm building a new community, new connections, new relationships. And just having that experience here has made what I do at work, on a day-to-day basis so much easier, because it's I can go from scratch. I can go to a new place where I don't know anyone and just, put myself out there and make that deeper connection and leave with a new friend, just trusting by being myself, not trying to be someone I'm not or sell something or have a transactional relationship. Right. And I think that's a lot of things we see in the workplace. Everyone's so transactional.
Yeah.
What do you have for me? It's no, give out value and it'll come back.
Right.
That's it. That's how it works.
Yep. That is totally how it works. And oh my gosh, I just you're Remi, you have no idea. Like just your headspace. I have to keep coming back to that, is so powerful. I know for for Remi, and for those of you that are listening and listening to this and may not be feeling like, I'm an introvert. Like I can't go to new places and meet people. Like I think for you, it comes so natural that you go to a coffee shop or you go like wherever during your day-to-day life. And it's like you connect with people. And I think it's so fascinating and amazing. That's not my forte. That's not something I'm super strong about. Of course, I could get on these podcasts, and these podcasts used to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Episode 1 is very cringeworthy, and there's ones, even through that, but they're getting better and better. And, so I'm putting myself out there in a way. And this is easy for me. This is easy to talk to a person one-on-one, to like get to hear their story, to meet them. But if it's not your natural inclination to show up to meetup groups or to learn new things like Web3 in a group setting, the one piece of advice that I would give you is to just like reach out, whether it's to somebody online, like somebody that you see doing something that you want to learn more about. And because this is a blockchain podcast and all about Web3, hopefully Web3 would be something that you do want to learn about a little bit more, and just connect with them and ask questions. It doesn't need to be in a face-to-face awkward situation or like, oh shoot, I'm going to bring my best friend with me because then I don't have to talk to anybody else.
Right.
And you're at these meetup groups and you're not meeting anybody because you're literally bringing a security blanket, a little stuffed animal with you, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what I did a lot. I would always bring my best friend with me because it was just like, okay, I know you, so we'll just stand in a corner and talk together. But
yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a big point. I mean, like, people don't know the power of just like doing things alone.
Yeah.
I think that's why people may struggle with putting themselves in those situations, because they're not truly like giving themselves the self-love that they need. And it's a very hard skill. That's something we're all still working on, is being comfortable and embracing who we are in our own skin. Right. And that just comes with time and the people you surround yourself with, the content you're congesting or you're just taking in. And that's one of the biggest superpowers I think a person can have, is to be so powerful on their own. They don't need to be around anyone. And what's that going to do when you do spend time with someone else, when you're so confident in yourself? It doesn't matter. You don't need to show up as someone you're not. You're just going to show up as that authentic you. Yes. And I mean, kind of speaking on like people that do struggle with that, it's like, set some intentions. If it's something you're trying to get better at, set that as an intention. Keep doing things that are going to be uncomfortable for you. You don't need to go 100% all in at once. Just start showing up. Start talking to people that are a little bit more extroverted. Ask them how they kind of, function, get to the point where they're at. I mean, we're all different too. And that's some people need to embrace. Like, you don't need to be that person.
Right.
Like, send love to that person who is that, and you be the unique you. I feel like we always like see people like succeeding in something, like the best rapper. It's like, oh, I need to go and do that. Well, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you should just admire that person and just praise them. Or sorry, not praise them, but support them. Right. Maybe you're blocking a better, passion or skill that's been waiting for you. I think creating space is just so important for better things to come in.
So you said two things there specifically that I want to kind of unpack a little bit more. One of the first things you said is intention, setting an intention. And then that last piece that you just said about creating space. And I want to share like a brief personal story quickly, that I went to an event. I've been in blockchain space now probably for 18 months or so, or Web3 space for 18 months or so. And, you know, there's been a lot of growth for me in learning this space and evolving in this space and connecting and building these relationships with people. And recently, just last month, I went to an event here in San Diego by myself. No, I didn't know anybody. I was like, I'm just going to go. And while I was driving down there, because it was a 30-minute distance, between where I was at to where the event was at. And I'm like, I need to be very intentional. And I was very conscious and aware of my thought process. Like, okay, you're going here, you don't know anybody, start little conversations here and there, but make it a point to connect with at least 2 to 3 people. That was my intention. Like, and it didn't have to be this like crazy type of connection. It could just be like saying hello, right? Or like having a slight conversation. And I did that. Because I set the intention beforehand. It was easy to go into it and go, okay, like, and not to be transactional, like Remi was saying. It's not about like, okay, boom, check the box, like run out of there as fast as I can, but really then to take that intention in my mind, or that intention that I made that night was to connect with two to 3 people and now follow up with that, right? So many times, like we do make intentions to meet more people or to like get out of our comfort zones, but then we do it and we check the box and we just close the book and we don't do any more extra additional work on that. The other thing, and then I'll let you kind of jump in if you want to add to any of those points. But
I love the story, by the way. I mean, it's important to do stuff like that. Just set like little mini goals, you know.
Yes.
You don't need to go for a slam dunk every single time. It's baby steps, always.
Always baby steps, always baby steps. And then I was so deep into that. Now I forgot, what was the last thing, or what was the thing that you had said last?
Space.
Creating space. Yes. Like allowing yourself the space necessary to learn, grow, and evolve. Like I'm not going to be the perfect podcast host like tomorrow. I have to create space to allow myself to evolve, to get better, to grow, to develop. Remi has to create space like for what he's doing. You have to, as the listener, need to create space for yourself to evolve, to grow, to get better. And through that process is where you're truly going to get to those levels of your highest potential that we talked about in the very beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it on the head. I mean, I think with that too, like, good things take time.
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned too.
Yeah.
You know, we always want something to be now in our current reality, but the things that were really going to be evolutionary for us, you know, even like the podcasting, I'll say fantastic podcast host, having such a fun experience right now. You're crushing it. But for like stuff like this, like it's the consistency. It's being able to put in the work and just and you'll learn very soon, you know, if it's for you or if it's not. You know, if you are passionate about it, if it is energizing. You know, this is getting me excited. Love talking to people, love sharing my story, you know, like those are the kinds of like, you have to be able to like understand those indicators and those emotions in your body to guide you towards something. I'm a strong believer that it's not our mind that really should be guiding us. Our body is our compass. It's the emotions in our body that lead us towards something or push us away. Yeah. And you need to be able to have that awareness to read that.
Right. Definitely. Gosh, Remi, I could go on for hours about using the body as a guide. And you and I mean, you know that too, because we've been talking about it. Like, oh my gosh, exactly. It's like the body knows. And so many times in our own headspace, we talk ourselves out of things, or we talk ourselves into things that aren't right for us because we're like, oh, but on paper, everything looks good. So I'd be dumb to not do something, or I'd be dumb not to miss this opportunity or whatever. When the body is giving very loud and clear messages, like don't effing do that, or don't, you know, or maybe it's giving you clues the other direction. Like you need to go out and talk to this person. And you have no idea why. You're just being called forth to go speak to some person. And then you're like a little chicken SHIT and you don't do it. You know, who knows what kind of opportunity you missed out on because you didn't listen to your body. Caveat, you know, sometimes people like to be like, oh, well, I didn't feel like it today. Well, there's going to be times like I'm very passionate about Web3, about blockchain, about NFTs and crypto. And I'm like, come on, guys, we all got to get aboard this train. It's like moving quick. And you know this about me. But there are moments that I'm just like, I don't feel like recording a podcast, but you know what? Like I've committed to recording these podcasts and they're, you know, it's just like, okay, like move through the, I don't feel like it portion, do it. And then I have so much freaking energy, like while I'm recording it or while I'm, you know, post-production, putting it all together. And I'm just like, okay. So like what I'm telling you as a caveat, like for those of you listening is don't allow your fickle emotions to lead you astray. Really, really tune in to what your body is communicating. And it does communicate through emotions, like feeling a certain way. But sometimes those emotions can be a little fickle.
Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, and to people that are listening, like you said, like our minds try to protect us from feeling pain.
Yes.
And with that, you know, well, oftentimes the things don't bring pain. They actually, you know, create more growth and transformation. And I think kind of like sharing more on me, like the past few months, kind of starting in July, I've just been trying new things that make me scared. You know, whether that's hiking, you know, 414ers in Colorado or jumping in a cold plunge in a lake when I can't really swim.
Yeah.
DJing, you know, crypto events. It's like just trying to inspire, like not only myself, but other people. It's like, you guys, like, we can do this. Like we are more than capable of like just making it happen.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, I'm in this headspace now where it's like, stop waiting, go and get it, go and make it happen, be creative. You know, the people that are building these incredible companies and just are very in tune with their body, athletes, you know, they didn't wait for it. They went and created their reality. And people think we don't have the capabilities within ourselves to do it, but we do. What we can control is the response to a situation, our reaction. And like, yeah, I don't know. I could go on a tangent for that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, just go and get it. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. You could be 20, you could be 18, 13, 40, 60. It doesn't matter. Like, there's no better time than now to be building something. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. There's no better time than now. Go make it happen.
You literally just summarized this entire episode in how many words is that? Create your own reality. You create your reality. 3 words. Like, that is and we get the conscious choice every freaking day. And not every freaking day even, because you and I have had a conversation about this as well, is that in one whole 24-hour period, you can have 10 freaking high moments and 2 low moments all within the same period. So it's not about the day being so grand or make it a great day or have a great day, but literally you have the conscious like choice every single moment to determine what reality is going to show up for you and what reality you're going to create. And you sum that up so beautifully, as you always do. So thank you for that.
And I think it's important to say too, like, we're all human and we all do go through days and weeks sometimes of challenge and struggle and confusion and being lost. And I can't say how many, there's been so many times since I've been here in San Diego. I mean, this has been some of the most challenging experiences in my life because it's just all so new. You know, every single situation aspect of my life has shifted from where I came from. Whether that's like financially, emotionally, my relationships, my job, you know, my just environment in general. You know, it takes time to become grounded somewhere new. And you just have to give yourself extra love sometimes. You have to be calm and patient with yourself. And I think just for people listening, like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're trending towards something bigger than you can even imagine. And you just gotta just keep trusting yourself, and just lean on your community as well. That's something I didn't really do when I first moved here. I've got a great community of friends and people back home in Columbus. Kind of stepped away from social media for like 100 days, didn't really contact them. But like you need to have different things that ground you in life. That could be exercise, that could be your friends, that so many different things.
Yeah, like finding something that brings you joy. Like those things that bring you joy are what grounds you in who you are and help you, gives you the space, coming back to creating space, gives you the space that is necessary to feel inspired to go after your goals, to, you know, constantly like be growing and evolving. And it's not about trying to fill up every single line on your calendar and have something to do every single moment, but just going, well, what am I going to do in the white space? What am I going to do during the white space? And for you, that's, you know, challenging yourself through hiking and doing different things. You know, for other people, for those of you listening, it could be something else. Like your joy, your passion could be something else. And if you're having a hard time finding out what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, do a bunch of different things. And you're going to quickly see, like, rent a kayak for a few hours, go, you know, on a hike, go to a coffee shop in a neighborhood you would have never gone to before. You have no idea what kind of people or experiences you'll have just doing something like that. And so, no,
I love the focus and intention from this podcast. You know, obviously we're both deep in the Web3 space, but I think
obviously
it's a great reminder for other people building in the space that are looking to get into the space, that it does start with what you're doing outside of the workplace, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis personally. That's going to give you more energy and more excitement to build. To be able to do the research, because this space requires time and energy and a lot of research. It moves really fast and too fast.
It moves incredibly fast. And you and I, you know, one of the things that we were laughing about is like, you know, the space is like a little over a decade, if you want to call it that, like old. In terms of its growth cycle, though, it like took a little bit, you know, those first 5 or 6 years were like really quiet, nothing too much happening until things started really popping off within the last 4 to 5 years. And it's so crazy how like a day or 2 weeks in the Web3 space is like 2 years in terms of like how quick and how fast things are happening. Like it is just like wild.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I mean, like that's just like the job for me as well. Is it's like kind of going back to like the recruiting aspect, like for anyone who's like just interested in learning more about that, like the responsibility of a Web3 recruiter goes way beyond what any recruiter has done before. For people who are looking to enter the space, we need to be consultative and just know so much more as well. You know, for me, I have full-blown, like, my conversations with candidates and clients are like podcasts. We're just talking about the space, trying to educate each other on what the latest and greatest news is. And it's just exciting. I love, you know, just the techie aspect of everything. I come from a fashion background. It's my first time getting into tech. It's a great place to be.
And just so you know, you don't have to have any sort of tech background to like be involved or get involved in the space. It just, like Remi was saying, like it does require, you know, some due diligence, some work to really shift your mindset around what you think about it. You know, we've talked a lot today on this episode about mindset, about personal development, about really getting through the weeds of all your gunk that has kind of angered you and held you back, or all the belief systems you've had about yourself, and creating a new reality, creating a new version of yourself, somebody that you can super be proud of, like standing in the mirror and saying, I'm so in love with you. Thank you. Like, proud of you, all of the stuff, because that is possible. That is something that is actually physically possible. I know a lot of people have a hard time looking themselves in the mirror, but it is truly, truly possible to be able to stare yourself in the face and love yourself for who you are right now and who you're becoming. And Web3, to use an analogy, is that idea of us becoming a new version of ourselves. Well, as we transition from Web2 and it's shape shifting and it's becoming a new version in and of itself, it's becoming a better version of itself. And I think that that's the beauty, is really taking the time right now to understand it, to ask questions, to find a local community, to find events that are going on, and to really just immerse yourself in it, even if you feel like you have nothing to offer, even if you feel like, well, I'm not techie, I'm not building anything, I don't know, like, I'm not a podcast host of a blockchain Web3 show, I'm not a big YouTuber, like, none of that has to be anything. You don't even have to have a cryptocurrency or an NFT owned to go connect with these people.
Right.
So that's my challenge, is like, I really want to get people to get out there and just really engage with their local community around this idea of this space and building and creating a new future.
Yeah. It's super exciting times. I think my passion is just beating out of my chest in the past couple of weeks for Web3. And I mean, I can understand from some other people's perspective as to why they're hesitant to get into the space, and just because of some of the headlines they see, it's all based around money and people triple Xing, money from an NFT. And that's, I think I'm starting to see in the space, a lot of companies start to go back to that Web2 language, meet people where they're at now, rather than use the NFT terminology or blockchain sharding, all these different new languages that I've had to learn. It's been awesome, but also, how can I explain this to someone that doesn't know about the space? Right. Like an access reward, like a reward pass, or authenticated ticket, or there's some there. It's even hard to explain sometimes, but there's just so much going on in the space. But I think the biggest thing is just the biggest hurdle right now is the user experience and the onboarding. And I just want to give a shout out to Starbucks and what they're doing with their rewards and everything, like just providing utility, providing community and just resources for people to continue interacting and feeling more a part of their community. That's what a lot of these bigger brands are starting to do and enter into the space. So it's huge. It's powerful. There's a lot of things happening. Any closing remarks as we bring the train back into the station for today? Yeah, I mean, I first just want to say super thankful to just have this opportunity and share my story, share my perspective. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you. It's always a very mindful experience. I feel super grounded right now. And I guess for the audience, like just keep going, keep surrounding yourself with good people, and continue to love yourself deeper. That's all I got, guys.
I love it. I love it. And are you going to be back on social? If I share your social channel info, info notes, you'll be good. At least temporary, no,
100%. I'll shout out the socials. So Vurtual_ETH on Twitter, hashtag Web3 Recruiter, Remington Rodney on LinkedIn. That's where I probably am going to have, my biggest presence. And then on Instagram, Remi.Rodney. So you can find me on there. I try to just post uplifting content and update people with the market of Web3. So
I love it. Your content is great. I love engaging with it and connecting. And I also love getting to see you in person and having those deep dive conversations about life with you. So thank you so much, Remi, for your time. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful and honored to have you and be able to call you a friend. So for now, Be sure to thank you all for being here and listening and taking this episode for a ride. I hope you really expanded your mindset, learned a lot, and really are looking to create space for yourself, setting intentions, learning to love yourself, all of those key nuggets that Remi and I spoke about today, because it's just as important, you know, as is probably even more important than talking fundamentals of Web3. Once you kind of get those those components and pieces together, you'll be able to like fire your life so far. It's incredible. So for that, or for now, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
You made it. Congratulations. That wasn't so bad, was it? I hope you laughed and learned a little bit more about this Web3 universe and how simple and fun it can really be. Would you be so kind as to leave us a review and share it with your friends and family? It would mean so much to get this out to more people as we embark on the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened in human history. Can't wait to see you on the next one.